like she was enjoying it. It seemed like she thought she was going to be this great savior of some kind. And just like when you heard Johnson saying, if we're not giving any more money to Ukraine, and he went into a skiff and came out, and they showed him a picture with him and a donkey or something. I'm just making that up for the lawyers out there. But he came out and all of a sudden gave $50 billion to Ukraine again. This is what happens with the deep state, and it's not surprising to me that she thought she was going to go in there and do something, and then reality kicked her in the teeth. So it's not that weird that she changed her position. And please, Millie, I would love to hear your position.
So the thing is, was he lying then or lying now? You said he lied then, but how did we know? Was he lying then or lying now?
I didn't say she lied. I said she wrote checks her ass couldn't cash. She didn't have the information. That's it.
She came out lying.
She said it was on her desk, man.
Yes, she said it was on her desk, and then she was told she's not allowed to put
So
that out.
was he lying then or lying now? And that's the problem.
You can't hear more than me because that's what Millie does. She just talks over you instead of you.
No, you were actually talking over me.
She wasn't talking over you, though,
But she is.
No, I was not.
That's her
You were
question.
talking
I
over me.
apologize for not talking to me this time.
Oh my God.
But at the end of the day, she wrote out there and got excited about something, and then she was told she's not allowed to do it. She got slapped, and now it's all done and over with. She said it was on her desk. Somebody obviously got to her and said, that's where we feel that people are compromised. It happens. It just hit Johnson. We all were like, what the hell? You just went into a skiff and came out and gave $50 million to Ukraine again, and then a subsequent another $5 billion. I don't understand how people don't understand that these people get shown something or told something and put their life in a position. That's how intel works. That's how spying rings work. That's how the honeypot works. Everybody has their reason. So I think she just went stupid, and now she's got to pay for it. And more than likely, she'll be the fall guy once this gets heated up enough.
And Kat, the town.
I agree with everything. I agree with everything. I agree with everything you just said, Kat. But here's the thing, Chad. We all spent weeks talking about Epstein when there were other issues that were equally, and actually way more important, truthfully, for the immediate security of us than our borders.
Your mind. Yeah,
No, that's not in my mind. That's actually what happened.
There's no more important issue to me than the ending of child sexual assaults in this country and the cover up within our government. That is the top priority.
I'm talking about the dog and pony show. I'm talking about the binders. I'm talking about the dog and pony show they put on. That controlled the media cycle for conservatives. And we weren't talking about the border. We weren't talking about all the waste. We weren't talking about all the foreign issues. We weren't talking about any of that.
We definitely were. Like, I don't understand where you have this dichotomy in your head that doesn't exist, bro.
No, I'm not talking about diligent, and I'm not talking about really anybody here, but there are plenty of people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Chad knows what I'm talking about. Y'all know, Jennifer, you know these people.
Yeah, but why are you giving those people power by even acknowledging them?
Because they've taken a huge portion of the MAGA movement and split it away from focusing on the ball, focusing on policy.
If we go somewhere else, I'm pretty sure everybody's still on this platform unless they're a small little dick motherfucker who left yesterday.
I mean, I'm looking at a lot of people right now who are claiming they're going to go leave the Republican Party for the American Party.
Who on this stage said they're leaving the Republican Party? I've never made that claim.
Not on this stage, but there have been plenty of people that accept that.
It doesn't apply to the group of people you speak to.
Okay,
not here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Come on.
Whose fault is that? It's not the Republican Party's fault for not delivering on what they promised, is it? Is it all on the people that are pissed off that left because they feel like they've been lied to? Or is it the Republican Party needing to take accountability for, screwing up essentially, promising things that they didn't deliver on, saying they're going to vote a certain way and then they get elected in office and they completely freaking 180 on things? That's the reason people are upset here. And you can complain and you can, moan all you want, but the reality is if everything was going the way it should be going and promises were being kept and people were doing what they're supposed to do, you have a thriving base right now. The reason things are going
point. I agree with you.
Because bad things are happening. And here's the thing,
I agree with you.
Trump's response to all of this is not, you know what, I'm going to get to the bottom of this because we need answers regarding Epstein. I didn't see that response today. I saw, back to basics. Moving on, and I saw...
Even worse, they said no more questions.
Yeah, and I saw Caroline oh yeah, kind of doing damage control. I've seen Cash Patel, I've seen Pam Bonnet, I've seen Dan Murphy, all these people who were like saying there was all this stuff with Epstein and never let it go, and there's hundreds of, hours and hours of videos. We're gonna get the client list, we're gonna get more Epstein drops, and then it seems like the whole thing has just went into a vacuum. And
Millie, can I point out one thing? Can I point out one thing? Do you guys realize how many people, associated with Epstein have either died or committed suicide? It's not just Virginia Giuffre. It's not just Jeffrey Epstein, right? You have John Juan, whatever the hell his name is, over in France, right? There is a whole list of people that have died under mysterious circumstances, whether that be suicide or getting hit by a car or something like that. Why are all these people dying if there's nothing there?
I'm not saying there's nothing there. I'm saying that we're not holding people accountable. Millie made my point. Why are we holding anyone accountable for anything? You know what? It's like they disappoint us, and then we just move on to the next thing. They disappoint us, and we move on to the next
The
thing.
day you accept these results right now is the day that you are saying, I'm done, Jeffrey Epstein doesn't exist. You know damn well that this is not
I'm not
you.
accepting this.
Not everything is about you, bro.
All right. Okay, bro. Well, listen, I like that indulgent space so we can say bro. It's a multi-gender. But let's be honest. There are plenty of people who just move from thing to thing, and we do have to stay focused. We have to hold them accountable. And yeah, Jennifer, you've been doing that. Bill's just been doing that. A lot of folks doing that. But that's why we're having trouble, because when things go wrong, no one seems to hold anybody accountable in general, not people in the space, okay? And then we just move from thing to thing to thing, and we get more and more divided.
Which
And that's
is why I'm
26
saying
gonna
we
be
should,
tough.
even though Caroline Levitt came out, even though the FBI came out, don't accept it. Start yelling, use your voice, use your platform, force them into a position where we don't
They're
just
asking
accept it.
They're actually asking me to ask you to stop yelling, Jen.
Sorry.
And can I just add to that, because we keep forgetting, let's move our goalposts to the idea of let's start a new screw you party and hold them accountable. You're not holding anybody accountable. What you're going to end up is giving it to the Democrats. We're going to end up being pissed off at you. We're going to call out the American Party like the shills they are. And when in the end of the day, the American society and what we are and our greatness is that we fight for what we believe in. It's a two-party system. Go fight for your Republican Party. If everybody in this room was a part of it, more than likely we wouldn't have the issues we have, because it starts locally. It starts your local GOP. It starts in South Carolina. We took over 14 GOPs in one cycle. We have a couple more GOPs to take over, and all we need is 27, and we take over the state. Not a problem. It's not that hard. And if people would learn that and understand that as part of their politics, just not whether or not Nancy Pelosi's husband's getting beat with a hammer with some gay guy. We're into that shit instead of the boring, mundane shit where we got to do it on the local level and take over these GOPs. Starting a new party is just a big fart in the wind. That's all it is.
And Chad, the city councils in most everybody's city, even in red states, have the farthest left socialist people you could possibly imagine on these school boards. And we've gotten some of those school board people off around the country. But look at these cities. Look at these counties.
We're getting off into the weeds, you guys.
Districts.
Yeah, but guys, why does it matter?
Where you build the party.
If we
That's
have
what they
people-
matter, because you have to hold them accountable. Everybody has to be held
Let me
accountable.
just make this clear right now, okay? This is not on the Republican Party. This is not on anybody else but Pam Bondi and the Trump administration. They hold the responsibility of the Epstein debacle in its entirety right now, right? Period. That's a fact. Okay, that's why I'm saying I feel like we're getting off into the weeds talking about replacing Republicans. We've replaced lots of people in Congress over the last 10 years, and the situation over Epstein hasn't changed. And if you don't believe me, there is an Epstein House committee right now. Okay, a friend of mine sits on that committee. Luna chairs it. Have we seen any new revelations regarding the Epstein files? Okay, that does not make a difference. The administration is responsible for the release of these files, the release of the information, the optics, all of it. Okay, and they're accountable. And I'm not trying to listen. I would just love I think the administration, what needs to happen right now is they need to come out and do a press conference specifically on Epstein. And don't give us any runaround. Don't do what Carolyn Abbott did this morning. That was horrible what she did. The spin, she sounded like Karine Jean-Pierre up there. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. And the American people did not vote for that. When we all campaigned for Donald Trump last year, we did not vote for that. So, I'm going to hold accountability where it's due. The administration needs to come out and talk to the American people about this in a very candid way right now, because they're in danger of really having a rug pull situation with their agenda over the next few years if they don't, I'm afraid. And I'm not saying that as a threat. I'm just reading the room. MG's got his hand up for a while, you guys. Go ahead, MG.
Yeah, thanks, man. I just wanted to put the pin in my take on the Bondi thing. So ultimately, yeah, she's going to be responsible, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. But this isn't something that, does Trump need to be accountable for this? Absolutely. But I don't think anybody's suggesting this, but he's not going to resign over this. So if people are looking for a scalp,
I'm not looking for him to resign.
Here's the reality. Trump could actually be taking a position right now where he's screaming and yelling and saying, we need justice over the Epstein files. And it still wouldn't do very much, because at the end of the day, Pam Bondi and the prosecutor's office, they're the ones who have the ability to prosecute. It is them alone. Prosecutors can decide they don't want to prosecute, even if there's mountains of evidence, based on prosecutorial discretion alone. Right? So they can pick and choose. The powers in their court. This is on Pam Bondi. And I would say that a lot of the corruption problems in covering for the criminal syndicates and sex trafficking and these blackmail pimps is happening at the prosecutor, district attorney level. Okay, so it's going on in these DA offices. These are the people we need to be investigating and digging into and analyzing them and their lifestyles and their connections, because these are the ones who are covering for these powerful people at the end of the day. These are the ones.
And where are they elected, Billy? Where are they elected, the DAs? Where do they come from? Are they federally appointed?
They're paid by George Soros.
No, but they're local officials, and nobody's paying attention to that because they're so busy watching. Right, and they're watching Fox News or America. They're not paying attention to local.
Yeah, two more seconds, guys, and I'm done. I promise. So she's going to ultimately, it's exactly what Millie was saying. Trump is not. He's the chief executive, but he's not the chief prosecutor. Okay, her job is investigations and prosecution. So again, he could be secretly very upset with how this was mishandled, and you have to go back to when he was appointing his AG and his cabinet back in the fall after the election. Is that, again, what he learned from some of the failures of Trump 1.0 was that you need to get people that can pass the Senate. Okay, again, I have to read it. It is relevant, guys, because we all want this person, that person, and create. Everybody wants Jamar Chase at wide receiver. Doesn't mean it's going to happen in your fantasy football draft. He had to get somebody who was going to go in there and not piss off the rhinos on the Senate Judiciary Committee, get out of committee, get to the floor, and get at least 51 votes. That's it. End of story. Period. That's and the AG is. This is not the ambassador to Hungary. It is the most important position, obviously, in the DOJ. It's the head law enforcement person of this country. I saw from day one. I'm not a Florida resident, but obviously Florida being a popular state, we all knew her history there. I didn't really see her as doing anything outstanding. It wasn't like she had a reputation like Ken Paxton has in Texas or Eric Schmidt when he was AG of Missouri. She'd been around a long time. She looks good on TV, but I don't know if she had the bona fides that some of these other people have had. So something to consider. I don't predict she's going to last the entirety of this term, but again, she's not pushing back on Trump with what his main goal is, the mass deportations, fighting the injunctions when they were in effect. That is why he's going to keep her around. That's my prediction because she's.
And he's going to do that at his own risk then, because this is bad.
Yeah, he is. He is, and he'll take the political damage like he did in 2018 in the midterms with Jeff Sessions recusing himself, etc. Exactly. I mean, he's absolutely a root cause guy, and for now she's going to stick around again unless.
But she should have never gone on Fox News and made those statements and tried to throw this bone to MAGA that she didn't even have. It doesn't matter if it was her fault or some underling that gave her that statement. The fact is she was the one that made the statement. The buck stops there. And yes, unfortunately, you're right. That's kind of my point too. Like deportation. Big issue. $175 billion in the omnibus bill has to be done now. Start doing it now. Close down the borders, close down immigration, get the freaking job done. That's what everybody voted for Trump for, 70% issue. And yet, we're all talking about this, which is very important, but Pam made it a bigger issue than it should have been because she went sensationalized it.
Well,
It's so bad, you're not going to believe how bad it is.
I'm not going to stop talking
I'm
about
not
it.
saying it's
I might host a space about this big every day this week. Okay?
Here's the reality, though. The underlying premise of what you keep arguing is that when she made those original statements, that was the time she was lying, right? Not this time around when they all did the 180 and are like, oh yeah, no, there's no Epstein list. Yeah, Epstein killed himself. But the problem with that is, how do we know if the first time was the lie or the second time was the lie? How do we know?
Well, that in between, Millie, then that means that Cash and Bongino and a whole lot of other people we assume to be loyal to President Trump are all lying because if it happened at that time, only Pam was lying.
Yeah, that's I think what people are concerned about.
Watch the swearing, please.
How is it that we are trying to compartmentalize this down? Like this is the right. Like let's just be clear. This isn't the levels that this had to fail at for us to get to this point without any of the transparency, without any of the accountability, for any of these rich people who did all kinds. The number of failures is so complete. It covers the local level, it covers the federal level, it covers multiple administrations. How are these elite pedophiles so powerful that here we are when everybody knows what was going down on the island? That they've been able to protect. This is only the final straw in that. And who are we supposed to, if it's not Donald Trump picking who are we supposed to elect to actually get justice and accountability for this level of elite sickos? Where do we go from here in order to solve this problem and actually get some accountability? Who else is there?
And will they be allowed to do something even if they get into office?
How can they not be allowed to?
Well,
Right now.
there's two ways to do it. You take over the system or you lock them up. Period.
For me, I think we need to seriously look at like the Kaylee model and some other models. Listen, right? I hear you guys talk. Oh, well, we have to have Senate confirmation. We can't. There's almost no one that's been like in the bureaucratic phase of this stuff who isn't culpable and guilty. Like we need to arrest everybody until we can sort out who's actually responsible. Like this is systemic left. In order for it to get here, it isn't just again, like I said, it's not one administration. Right? We're talking about decades of people covering up. We're talking about local offices. We're talking. I mean, this touches almost every. In order for us to continue at this level, and we get to this point where we're just become nothing to see here, folks. Just move along. It's so systemic that we have to seriously start thinking about like how we go from from here in some such a way that people have to be able, it's systemic. It's like core root level systemic, or it could never have gotten this far. And I just, so for me trying to narrow it down defeats the purpose. This is our government and governments as a whole failure over the course of decades. And this is the shit we know about. I can't even imagine what's happening. It's terrifying to me, but we have to ask ourselves. I put the meme of our weak baddies the other day. Our system is allowing kind of systemic abuse of children in order to leverage and blackmail people.
Remember, like Kitty Edward.
I want to piggyback on the required to actually administrative right about Ireland. You've got cooks, you've got waiters, you've got hostesses, you've got doormen. I mean, like, if you show up at Epstein's Island, like, it's not a cabin in the woods. Okay, let's be real. I have seen in the Branson's Island in the BBIs, like, it's got multiple windmills on it. It's
is no longer in our hands to be able to vote our way into changing it. And we have to really take a serious look at how we go forward from here, because there is no universe where we can vote enough people in order to get this. There is something that is held over the hands of the people who get there. They are not the ones with the power.
But is that the case, Dustin, or were they wolves in sheep's clothing that were mimicking and mirroring the MAGA base and the MAGA people to get the support so that they could leverage themselves into the position to get the jobs?
I don't believe for a second that Trump, right? In order for that to be true, it had to be Trump, Bongino, and Cash for the better part of a decade, consistently and knowingly lying in order to deceive the voter base. It's much more.
That's not what Millie said. She's saying that the members of Congress. See, this is why it's not so clear cut, Dale. All these people are mimicking the issues they think we want to hear. They've been doing it for a long time. Most of these people in Congress precede Donald Trump.
That is closer to what I said. They're mimicking and mirroring the base.
So I have a perspective from General Mike Flynn. He posted this about 26 minutes ago. I want to read it out. Attention, Epstein files sit rep. What everyone is missing are the children who were abused by Epstein's and others. I don't care whether he killed himself or not. For me, I want to believe FBI Director Cash and Dan Bongino, but with the FBI's track record with laptops, Hunter Biden, Anthony Weiner, Seth Rich, now Epstein, never mind the FBI's previous track record for telling the truth, it is really hard to fathom that something else isn't going on here. I think there needs to be an incredible transparent briefing to the American people immediately by the DOJ. The lack of trust in the FBI and DOJ is so thick you can cut it with a knife. Come on, guys. The American people are not stupid or afraid to know the truth. I couldn't agree more. Well articulated. Let's go to Philip. He was waiting patiently with his hand up. He doesn't always do that.
The general texted me back, by the way. He said he's off doing meeting. He'll probably